welcome back to Williamson Ridge Outdoors. Today I'm going to do a real quick video just to kind of talk about the Kubota DPF system. And the reason I want to do this is because when I was buying a tractor, a tractor with a DPF or Diesel Particulate Filter, I was real leery about buying a tractor with that, which all of them have that sort of or some sort of a filtration, or a some of them actually burn hot enough, like the engine, and it recirculates the gas or the diesel exhaust and burns it off. But anyways, on the Kubotas they have that filtration system, and every so often they have to go through a regenerative cycle. And a lot of people's like, man, I don't like having the downtime or having to wait on that. It's not what you think, or at least for me, where I use my tractor all the time, I'm always working it enough to where that when it goes into that cycle, it goes on and it does the clean out or the burnout on the filter, and I never even know that it's really going on other than the light on the dash, and you can hear a difference in the exhaust sound. So for me, and I'll kind of take you around, I'll show you my experience with it, because my tractor has 151.9 hours. So with that many hours, I have not had to do a parked regen, not one single time. And what happens when you're out working in the field, or you know, like with me, like mowing hay, the little light will come on the dash telling it that it's into the clean out mode, or whatever you want to call it. And that light comes on, and if you're not up high enough in your RPMs, it'll just tell you to increase the RPMs. So usually when I'm working it out in the field, I'm actually at that point, and then the light just comes on and you can hear it run, and it does that cycle for about 15 minutes or so, and then the light goes back off, and you just keep on going. You never have to stop working. You never, you know, everything just keep on going, just like you would if it didn't have the filter system on it. It's a little dark in here right now because it's getting pretty late in the evening, but this canister right here is the Diesel Particulate Filter. And what happens is the exhaust gas goes into that filter, and then whenever it goes into its regen mode, it sprays diesel fuel into this cylinder, and it burns it, and it burns all the soot buildup that happens from your diesel. And you know, like a lot of diesels you see where they puff out black smoke, but this filter burns all that stuff, or at least it catches it, and then every so often it has to burn it out whenever the filter's starting to get kind of stopped up. So it injects diesel fuel into that canister, and it burns inside there and burns all that soot out, and then it runs right out your exhaust. And the thing is, you can't see it, it doesn't smoke, and whenever it's going through the regen cycle, I mean, there's no smoke, there's no nothing. You can smell it, like you can smell a difference in the exhaust. And whenever it's not during the regen cycle, you can't smell the exhaust really at all. And other than whenever you first start it up, whenever it's cold, or when the engine's cold, it doesn't have to be cold outside, but when you first start it up, you can kind of smell kind of a little sweet like diesel smell in it. But after a few minutes, that, you know, once the system heats up, your engine heats up, the DPF heats up, then that smell goes away completely. And you know, you just use the tractor just like you normally would. And then, like I say, if it goes into or turns that little light on, what happens is, if you postpone the regen cycle, because maybe you're in a barn or something like that, and you postpone it, well, if you keep postponing it, then you have to stop and do an actual parked regen. But like I say, in my situation where I'm either bush hogging with it, if I'm using the front loader and it wants to go into that, then I just run the RPMs up on it to 2200 or whatever the minimum. It'll show you where you need to increase it and all that stuff. I just run it up to that point, and then I'm just continue my work. And if I'm dragging the driveway, the gravel or whatever, 15 minutes and then it's done, and you've continued your work and never had to stop. Now, like I say, I can see if you're in a closed area, if you're like in a barn or something like that, then you might want to postpone it because that system does get hot. And if you're around hay or something like that, then you may not want to do that inside a building or anything like that. So, but in my situation, I'm never really in the barn with the tractor other than maybe moving some round bales in there sometimes. And, you know, whenever I'm out in the field, or if I'm cutting firewood or anything like that, whenever it goes to the regen, then I'm traveling long distances a lot of times too, and I'll just turn the RPMs up and I'll just operate it there, and it'll just do the regen, and then it's good to go after a few minutes. So like I say, I've never had to do a parked regen at all with mine, and it's got 151, almost 152 hours. So I just want to do this video because a lot of people have question about that. A lot of people have doubts about using that, and it's like, you know, is it going to take time? Am I going to have to let the tractor sit there and run 15 minutes every 25 hours or something like that? Not necessarily. As long as if you're operating the tractor and using the loader or using the mower or something like that, you just continue on your work just like nothing's going on. You just raise your RPMs up, keep working with it, and do your job, and usually that thing will be done by the time that you're done. And I have had a time or two that I was finished with the job and the system wasn't finished. I just brought it back down to an idle, put it in my shed, parked it for the night. The next day, whenever I come out, started it up, it said it needed to regen still. I just increased my RPMs, started working with it, and then it finished the burnout there. Like, I didn't have to then do a parked regen or anything like that. I just it's basically continued where it left off, and no problem. So anyways, like I said, I just kind of wanted to go through that because there's so much doubt in this, and if I had it to do again, I would not think twice about buying a tractor with a DPF system on it, because for me, there's hardly any difference whatsoever on it. And you know, when you're doing the burn, I had a tractor before this one that didn't have the DPF system on it, and there's hardly any difference between the two, other than just seeing that light and hearing a little difference in that exhaust and stuff, and making sure your RPMs are up. So anyways, there's no big deal about it, at least with my experience with it. Then I have no problems with it whatsoever. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. If you like videos like this, make sure you click that like button, hit the subscribe. Thanks for watching.